joined now on the ICU video roundtable with head coach of the Whitecourt Wolverines, Shawn Martin. Shawn, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
How have you kept busy during these quarantine times?
Well, I had a kid on March 18th, so kind of right when we were getting ready for playing Spruce Grove in the second round. It was going to come down to a kid and a game, so on possibly the same day. So if there was a silver lining to canceling the season, was I got to be around with the young fella.
Yeah, and I think you got to avoid the argument of being at a game instead of the waiting room.
Yeah, it was getting tough. Like I was kind of figuring out, and looked like it was going to kind of be between maybe Game 4 and Game 5. So I was kind of hoping that obviously we weren't going to get swept, and maybe we could do a sweep, and then I could be there.
So obviously it's a disappointing end of the season when you don't get to play it out. But what do you say to those players whose last years were last year and they don't get a final shot at chasing victory in the AJHL?
It's one word. It sucked. There was no way of I feel for certain guys, and like one guy, for example, Braden Labance went through a couple runs, one with Spruce Grove and ourselves, and a couple of 20-year-olds. I know Zach Cox had a good run in Lethbridge, but like you look at a guy like Adam Sandstrom, he went through a rebuild in Bonnyville at 18, went through a rebuild as a 19-year-old in Whitecourt. Like when we beat Fort McMurray, that's the first series he's won, let alone that was the first playoff game he won in 3 years in Game 1. So for a guy like him, it definitely, it wasn't a lot of fun, but luckily we've been able to move him on and other guys, and they've got a long career in front of them yet. So
Sandstrom so he moves on to Nate next year. He was nominated for Defenseman of the Year in the AJHL last season. He was your captain. I know Eric Thurston, we had him on. He let it spill that Kay Blay would be replacing the C. Do you have any player that you have in mind yet?
Haven't got a clue. It's we've got a lot of guys returning. I've had 2 or 3 people ask me that question, and I think right now it'll be it's not that we have one. We probably have 5 or 6 guys that could wear that letter. So you've got guys that have been around for a couple of years, or you look at guys that have been in the league for 4 years as well. Maybe just not all in Whitecourt. So that's something that we're going to probably wait and see into camp till we make a decision. But I know the group itself, as far as leadership, will be very strong.
Another player leaving your team recently announced to go into the BU Terriers is Vinny Duplessis. Is it going to be Connor Unger's net starting next year at training camp, or are you going to bring in another goaltender for some healthy competition?
Yeah, I think Connor will be in Brandon. I haven't really directly talked to them about it, but you go off of how he played in the second half. He might have been one of the best goalies in the league. Vinny got hurt there at the end of January, and he had to carry the load. He did a great job. So unfortunately, trust me, we'd love to have him back, but it's looking probably at this point that we're going to be looking at 2 new goalies.
Another player who made a huge leap for your team last year was Ethan Lair. Just goes under a point a game in his second season. Do you have any goals or expectations set for him heading into his third year?
Yeah, we've talked about, kind of projections. Like you go, I think in Bonnyville, he was kind of like 0.3, and then he jumped up to 0.9 last year. So, he should be well over a point a game, and that's the goal offensively. I think, talking to Ethan, like we are looking at probably being in a spot where he wants to be a more complete player, start preparing to play different roles when he gets to college as well.
Your team got off to a bit of a slow start last season, and I think the low point was in the midst of a 4-game losing streak, an 11-2 loss to the Brooks Bandits at home right before the Christmas break. Your team went on to go 21-5-5 after that point. Was that just the kick in the pants you guys needed, or what was said in the locker room that really started to turn the bus around?
The whole month of December was it just didn't go our way. We had some big injuries. We lost 2 defensemen right around December 1st. And then Cassidy Bowes goes down early. He was our offensive kind of leader at that time. So everything seemed to go bad. We had a bad game against Lloyd. We lost a late game against GP. And then obviously that Brooks debacle wasn't pretty for anybody. But I think the good thing was is the group stuck together, and we had a game right before Christmas. The last game we played Spruce Grove at home for the Radek Ryder Memorial game at the Wolverines host, and that was our best team game to that point. And I think it really showed that to the guys that, hey, we can play with these better teams in the league, and it gave them some confidence. So we actually made a team decision to come back a couple days early from the Christmas break, and I think that was important. We had to go over some things, and then that's kind of where we went on to a good run. And you got into beating Sherwood Park early in the year, and a big win in Bonnyville, and that's where we kind of set our sights on capturing third place.
Your team also made a couple of moves around the deadline, acquiring Zach Cox and Cedric Matt, who I really thought helped bring in some healthy competition on that back end. Reuter on the wires, you also had interest in Alex Young. How close did you ever come to a deal? And how hard is it to even try to pull off a blockbuster in the AJHL?
I wish I could help your sources out, but I didn't even talk to Andrew and Cam Moore about Alex Young. And we played them right around December 1, and I've known Andrew for a lot of years. We're about the same age, and like I said, we've had some fun on and off the ice together. And I said, "What are you doing with your guys?" And at that point, they weren't that much farther below us, and he told me then that he wasn't moving them. So from there on, I didn't pursue it. Our biggest thing is defensemen. We had a younger guy kind of quit around December 1st, and we just knew that we needed it. We brought in Riley Hogan in November, and he got hurt for the rest of the year. So we needed another defenseman, and it was hard. It was we phoned and we talked to people, and we couldn't find anyone. Luckily, actually, Cedric Matt was a teammate of Vinny Duplessis, so there was a connection there. And so we talked, and it was difficult to get him out of there, even though he wanted to come to us. And it ended up being we had to give up a really good player to get him, and that player was Hayden Clayton. And again, at that time, we didn't want to move Hayden, but we prioritized bringing other defensemen. And Cedric, like you said, he definitely brought a lot of healthy competition to help us back there. So that was kind of the priority. And then the forward-wise, like I said, the Zach Cox one came really late. He was a situation where it was looking for a change out of Nipwin, and it was kind of within the 11th hour that we made that deal. And luckily we had 20-year-old room and a center spot. And, the good thing about him is obviously his offensive numbers don't jump out at you when he played with Whitecourt, but he just played a good top 9 role, and he allowed us to move Bjorn Robinson from center to wing and kind of strengthen a top 6 role. So we did a lot of things that way, and like I said, every guy that we brought in at the deadline, we were really happy with him.
Last year was your second year as head coach, taking over midseason from Gord Thibodeau, I believe, and you've already been nominated for Coach of the Year. How does it feel to make such strides in such a short time?
Yeah, it was, I think when Brett made the move the year before, there's 9 games left. So it was kind of an awkward time for it. And it was a situation where I just kind of took over. I didn't know what to do. I had to sit down with Brent, and we had to put a game plan together. And, we wanted to get through the year and compete well, and we did. Obviously we got swept in the first round by Bonnyville, but we competed, and it showed us, the guys that wanted to be there and the guys that didn't. So, that was a big part of it. And then I said, going into the off season, we knew we had to make changes. We had to change our style, and we wanted to get quicker. So we prioritized that, and that's where we went after, a Cassidy Bowes, and we had some futures coming in, like Caleb Ergang. We acquired Ethan Lair later in the summer, and then, obviously Vinny Duplessis was a huge addition. So those were things that all helped our team. I think 2 moves that maybe go, they may not be as important as what people think, is we made 2 midseason moves. We brought in Ryan Walls in late October, and then Brace Ospachuk in that December kind of that we want to forget. And both those guys were huge parts for us down the stretch. And, I don't know if we would have had the success in the second half as a team without them. So, like I said, sometimes, you like to do your due diligence on your players, but sometimes you got to be a little bit lucky. And both those guys were guys that they did more than we thought they would do. And so, like I said, I like to take a little bit of credit for it, but it's the team. And it's a great group of kids that we have there. And so I wish I could take more credit. I can, but I can't. I got to kind of give it all to them.
You've held a number of titles in both the AJHL and the SJHL. You've been a scout, director of hockey ops, a head coach, now GM. Now you're both a head coach and GM. Have you had a favorite position, or are you still looking to move forward with your career?
No, a head coach, GM role is, I think, best suited for me. I think I enjoyed my time as an assistant. I worked with a lot of really good people. I worked with, Ross Kenny and Kyle Chase in Sherwood Park, and, Blaine Bablitz up in Grand Prairie, and, those, and Gordon in Whitecourt. And those are all, the good thing about working with other people, you can take things that you like from all of them. And so I really enjoyed that. But I think I bit my lip a lot for a lot of years, and I almost put a hole through it sometimes. So I think I'm in a spot now where I'm comfortable with this position, and hopefully I can keep doing it for a while.
So your playing career ends in 03-04. You don't get into coaching, at least till Hockey DB says, till 08-09 with the Sherwood Park Crusaders. What got you into coaching?
Actually, it's kind of a long story. When I was leaving junior and going to college at Grant MacEwan, I had to get shoulder surgery. So it was one of those ones where your sling's in like this. You can't do anything. You can't work. You can't do anything. So I actually I started coaching summer hockey, and it was interesting. I didn't know at the time it was actually Tim Fraggle from Nate's parents. They ran the Northern Alberta Selects hockey organization, and they hired me. So I was like 21 years old and coaching. It was 8 or 9 year olds or 10-year-olds or whatever, and kind of got the bug there. So all through my playing career, even when I was playing in the States, I'd come back and coach summer hockey. When I first retired, I ended up doing a year of midget 15, and then I did 2 years of Bantam Triple. And then from there, I went. I was lucky enough. One of my players was. His dad was Jim Ennis, who used to play for the Oilers, and he was good friends with Ross Kenny. And so he introduced me, and that's how I ended up going on to the Crusaders. And then from there, it's kind of been junior A since. So I've actually been coaching for about 20 years, and I enjoy every day of it. Some days are harder than others, but it's a very fulfilling job.
You've made it this far to the AJHL. Do you have any plans of WHL or even further?
I haven't really given much thought. I wouldn't say I'm old, but the coaching is becoming a young man's game. And, you look around the league, there's a lot of guys, in their early 30s and, late 20s doing it. I'm 40. So, I guess I'm kind of behind the 8 ball. It would be a situation I'd always look at, but, when you get a chance to work for someone like Brent Stark and Whitecourt, I don't think you look to go work anywhere else, because he just, he treats his players, he treats me and my family so well. There's not a better guy to work for. So, like I said, we're definitely not actively looking to leave there.
And what is it like to work for Mr. Stark? I think most people look at a hockey owner or think of what they think of a hockey owner, and they think of a man in a suit and a tie. And you know what? When I first met Brent, I thought of somebody who probably rides a Harley.
Yeah. No, it's I know before I got hired, like Gord was, telling me, he's like, you really like this guy, you like him. And when I was in Saskatchewan, I remember, this guy is buying a team, he's moving with the Whitecourt, and I'm like, the Whitecourt's not going to get a junior A team. And like, who is this guy? Like, some old guy or whatever. And then, when I met him, he's, like you say, he's got the tattoos going, and, he's not what you think he is, but his passion for the game of hockey is something that is probably unchallenged at this level, and he's so community minded. He does so much for the community of Whitecourt. obviously, you know, worked hard to get that dressing room in Whitecourt, which is, you know, top notch and one of the better ones in the league now. And, you know, like he loves owning the team. And, you know, it's not that he owns a team, but he likes to go Friday, Saturday night and watch some good hockey and treat the guys well. And, you know, like I said, he gets the guys to go to the Calgary Flames games when we're on the road, or go watch an Oilers game, and that goes a long way with, you know, 17 to 20-year-old kids. And like I said, if you know, I've worked a lot of places and a lot of good people, but Brent just seems to do that extra little bit to treat the players and his staff very well.
Do you have a favorite memory so far since you've been with Whitecourt?
Yeah, 100%. Winning Game 7 my first year in Fort Mac. And it wasn't like I think one of the reasons I wanted to join Gord is I think I was 3 or 4 years in a row. First round, I had to play Fort Mac when Gord was Fort Mac, and we didn't do very well. Every year, I know in St. Albert, we got punished pretty bad, and the 1 year in Grand Prairie is pretty bad too. So we went in there and we were up 3-1. And Game 5, we went up there and we lost. Game 6 came home, laid an egg, so we got to go back up to Fort Mac for Game 7. And like pretty quiet bus going up there. And I didn't know how that was going to go. You know, we stayed with it, ended up going to overtime. And a guy that we had brought in at Christmas, Yannick Bertrand, scored a goal from the corner. Classic double overtime goal that probably shouldn't go in. And like I said, I didn't even know it went in. I was watching a line change. I wanted to make sure that, and all of a sudden the players started jumping on the ice, and I'm trying to grab them because I'm like, hey, it's too many men on the ice. And like Gord's yelling at me, he's like, we score. I said, well, how do we score? The puck's in the corner. So, yeah, like I said, it was pretty cool. It was a lot of fun. And, you know, your colleague there, Andrew Purd, was calling the game. So, you know, he had a great call on it. And I think Yannick rode a stick down the ice. So it was quite the thing. And like I say, it was a pretty fun game to be part of.
I'll have to bug Beardsy about that one next time I see him. We'll finish up here pretty quick. Shawn, now based on your last year's finish, third place in the North, do you have a higher expectation for your squad, or are you going to play it year by year based on the amount of players that interchange every single season?
Yeah, junior hockey is like that. There's always going to be changes and adjustments as the year go on. And, you know, for us, last year, our goal was, you know, kind of after that rebuild year, was to be in the top 3 in the North. And, you know, we ended up accomplishing that. You know, now we have to be in the competition to win the North. You know, that has to be first and foremost. So we like what we have coming back. We've got a solid group of 20-year-olds, and we've got some good young players. We're really happy with our recruiting right now. So, you know, unfortunately right now we don't have a date when we're going to start, but when we get going, we're very confident with the group we have. And like I said, our goal has got to be to be on the top of the North when it's all said and done.
Well, Shawn, thanks for joining us. I hope to see you again soon, and we'll have to have you on the AJHL show as well once that returns.
That's great. I really enjoy that, and I appreciate you having out here. And hopefully we can stay busy during these months and start aiming to getting back to hockey sooner than later.
Yeah, here's hoping. I got both fingers crossed. I'm missing the play-by-play. I'll say that much.
Yeah, I'm sure.